Fox Business Alert, we got new inflation data out today showing that inflation is stubbornly sticky and that's slamming the brakes on investors' hopes for an early summer rate cut. So let me show you. Exactly 1 week ago, the market was pricing in a 66% chance of a rate cut in June. On Tuesday, that number jumped to 70%. But now, a reality check for investors betting on more Fed easing. That drop signals that the Fed is laser focused on personal consumption expenditure, the price index, which heated up to 2.9% annually in December, well above the Fed's 2% target and besting the 2.8% estimate. Now, core PCE, this is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge because it subtracts volatile food and energy costs, climbed 3% annually in December, its hottest reading since March of 2024. So what is the Fed's next move, especially now that the Supreme Court decision striking down President Trump's tariffs has thrown another wrench of uncertainty into the economy? Edward Lawrence is live with Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis President Alberto Musalem. Edward.
Yeah, thank you. I am here in St. Louis with the Federal Reserve President, Alberto Musalem. Thank you so much for joining us here. I want to start with what everybody's talking about right now, the SCOTUS ruling. The Supreme Court of the United States ruled those tariffs. The president is not able to use that IEEPA policy. They could mean $175 billion in refunds off of that. Has that changed your forecast for growth, for inflation, for uncertainty?
Well, at first, welcome to St. Louis. Great to be with you here today. Appreciate you making the trip. How I'm understanding the situation is the administration is replacing the IEEPA tariffs with new tariffs under alternative authorities. I'm trying to figure out with my team whether that's a one-for-one replacement or a greater than one-for-one replacement. If it were a one-for-one replacement, I probably wouldn't change my outlook very much. On a go-forward basis, on a go-backwards basis, I'd like to understand better how the refunds may work, over what period of time, and how much.
So are you concerned about the uncertainty then?
It's possible that, as companies begin to think of how they're going to transition from paying IEEPA tariffs to paying a different kind of tariffs, that could introduce a period of uncertainty there for companies. And I'll be talking to CEOs to understand how they're managing.
The president selected Kevin Warsh to be the next Federal Reserve chairman. Do you know him? What do you think of that pick?
I've known Kevin Warsh for more than 16 years. He's a very good pick. He is very qualified for the job. I will be very interested to see how his confirmation process goes and learning about his priorities during his confirmation process. And of course, if he's confirmed, I look forward to welcoming him here at the Fed. The important thing about the FOMC is that it's 19 people, and the debate is a very collegial debate based on evidence and data and objectivity, and I expect that to continue to be the case.
What about that dynamic? We have a current Federal Reserve chairman. If he is appointed before that term is end, what about the dynamic between he and Chair Powell?
I don't want to speculate on the timing of when any appointment or decision will be made. What I will say is the dynamic around the table is very collegial. People are very respectful. They bring very well-researched opinions. They talk to the stakeholders all over the country, and people come and they listen to each other. They learn, they level set, and they make policy, and I expect that to continue.
Let me talk about rate cuts or pauses. Where are you? The markets believe there's going to be a pause in the next meeting. Do you think there's going to be a pause this next meeting? Do you think we're going to see 1, 2 rate cuts this year?
For me, policy right now is very well positioned to respond to either side of our mandate, whether it's the inflation side or the employment side. The real federal funds rate minus inflation, is at or below our neutral rate that the committee believes is neutral. A neutral real rate, I think, is appropriate given my outlook for the economy. Inflation is running closer to 3%. When I talk to people in my district, companies tell me they're feeling a lot of cost pressures. People tell me they have challenged real incomes. They have challenge consuming. And so I think it's very important that we bring inflation back towards 2%.
So maybe no rate cuts this year?
As I said, policy is in a good place.
I want to ask you about the CPI inflation report was 2.4%. That's closer to your 2% goal, but we just got PCE inflation, which is 2.9%, ticked up a little bit. What do you make of the difference? And I mean, is inflation increasing or decreasing? Which is it?
So our target is based on PCE inflation, so the data that was released today. CPI inflation has more shelter and less health care. PC has more of that, so that there's been a difference of about 30, 40 basis points between the two numbers. Also, the government shutdown led to some estimates to CPI that may have biased CPI downward, and that bias may be with us all the way until April, just how things are calculated. So I'm focused on what we target, which is PCE.
I'm going to ask you, GDP. The GDP for this year looks like 2.2% more than last year. Does growth cause inflation?
Growth doesn't have to cause inflation for two reasons. One, if you have high productivity growth, meaning you can do a lot more with less, it costs less to produce each unit of output, you can have high growth with low inflation. Another reason, or another situation where you can have low inflation and higher growth is if we bring inflation back to our 2% target, that will help real incomes of consumers, that will help growth. And if we bring inflation back to our 2% target, we can lower the nominal interest rate, that will bring 10-year rates down, that will help growth in the housing market.
So you could see the GDP growing as we are and rate cuts happening?
Only if we have high productivity, which is still to be seen. We see that in the micro data. We hear a lot of anecdotes about it. We don't see that productivity growth yet in the macro data.
Yeah, last one, labor market. Where do you see the labor market? What are your contacts telling you? Is it soft?
The labor market's normalized. They tell me low hire, low fire. They tell me the right size in the labor force according to attrition. They see the wage growth at about 3.5%, 4%, which is a normal, consistent with 2% inflation. And they see some pockets of tightness in construction and trades, but mostly a normalized labor market with supply and demand growth both coming down at the same time.
President Musalem, I appreciate your time on this. Thank you very much. Liz, we'll toss it back over to you.
I just have one question for Mr. Musalem, Edward. The New York Federal Reserve put out a report about a week ago saying that they had done a research study and 90% of these tariffs have been shouldered, have been paid for by U.S. firms. Kevin Hassett, the White House economic advisor, in the wake of that, suggested whoever wrote it should be disciplined. It's the worst paper he's ever seen. What is Mr. Musalem's response to that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Liz is asking about the New York Federal Reserve putting out the inflation report, saying that 90% of the cost of tariffs is shouldered by companies and the customers. What do you think about that report? What do you think about that?
Well, what I hear from companies that I speak to about how they manage the tariffs, they negotiated some of it with exporters from other countries. They absorb some of that in their margins through efficiency gains, and they pass some of that on to the consumer. In terms of research from Federal Reserve banks, it is really important that Federal Reserve banks are allowed to do research based on facts and evidence and transparent methodologies based on rigor and objectivity. The reason the U.S. is, a reason why the U.S. is the most dynamic economy, largest capital markets in the world, is because we have the best data and the best analysis of our data. Research by reserve banks informs presidents, allows us to make the best policy decisions possible, and that's a public good that we should all treasure and preserve.
And those banks have the same standard?
Yes, very high standard.
Very high standard. Liz, there you have it.
Edward Lawrence and Alberto Musalem, we thank both of you very much.